Hi, friends. Hi, it's Jewel. I am here at the Root Sanctuary inside of the Blackberry Cabin, which is currently under construction. And I am so excited to be able to share my very first excerpt from my upcoming book. And I am going to preface this by saying my heart is hurting so much today, and I know I am not the only one. Today's excerpt is being dedicated to everyone who is currently dealing with one of these massive storms taking place in our world. You'll be hearing my memory from doing welfare checks with Hurricane Michael several years ago, and I am dedicating this to everyone who is or has experienced the effects of a major storm. It is incredibly difficult to convey just how traumatizing experiencing something like this is. And if you are currently going through that in your life, please know you are loved. I am proud of you. I am sorry. And I love you. So, with that in mind, let's do it. My body trembled and my stomach felt like it was upside down. I could feel the muscles in my belly twitch, and I encouraged myself to take slower, deeper breaths. Nothing good would come from breaking down in the middle of this mess. I needed to stay calm and focus. I looked down at the dirty piece of wide ruled paper in my hand, smudged from damp mud and wrinkled from being in my tight fist all day. The next name on the list was Stony Brooks. I had never met Stony in person, and I only knew of him through social media encounters and mutual friends. He was tall and thin, with brown eyes and tattoos, and would be easier to identify than some of the others. Stoney was thought to be at his house down by the bay. He lived in a historic neighborhood with small homes and big old oak trees. A lot of the cool kids lived there growing up, and I fondly remember the streets filled with running children and laughing parents every Halloween. I closed my eyes and felt a long, slow breath roll in through my nose. I held it in for a few seconds before opening my mouth and letting it go with a loud sigh. I wiggled my toes in my steel-lined boots, took another deep breath, and started walking. I had abandoned the car several blocks back when the road became impassable and was now on foot. I had my backpack filled with my first aid supplies, granola bars, notebooks, and about a dozen bottles of water, and was heading south. Based upon the information I had, it seemed like I would need to walk about a mile or so further, then turn right, and Stoney's house would be about 5 lots in. Navigation in the aftermath of a storm like this is borderline impossible. When service towers are destroyed by high winds and underground infrastructure is ruined by floodwaters, a massive communications blackout occurs. For dozens of square miles, nobody can phone in and nobody can phone out. There is no internet and there is no connection to the outside world. Since location services won't work on cell phones, I was relying upon screenshots of routes I took earlier in the day and paper maps to find my way. To make matters worse, everything looked different. I had visited this area of town countless times in my life, yet today I didn't recognize any of it. Every tree was broken, snapped and splintered and sticking up in every direction. Gas stations were torn apart, and there were pieces of buildings scattered in the street as if some invisible giant had played ball with them. Street signs were missing, and landmarks were nowhere to be found. An area I had once known well was now hauntingly unfamiliar. As I walked towards Stoney's house, memories of my day kept floating through my mind. The initial shock when they opened up the gates and let me cross the bridge, only to find immediate destruction on the other side. The pages from someone's journal torn up and littering a driveway next to a car crushed by a fallen pine tree. the refrigerator contents, and clothes stuck in some of the only remaining branches of an otherwise wrecked magnolia tree. The face of the older woman who, when she met eyes with me a few houses back, she and her husband had survived the storm while huddling together in the dark and had yet to see any signs of life since it passed. I was a little over halfway to Stoney's house when things started looking worse. Entire sections of buildings were missing, and many others were collapsed or crushed. I could feel my stomach tightening, and the trembling was coming back hot and heavy. I quickened my pace and climbed over fallen trees a little faster. I was afraid, and something about going faster made me feel better, even though I knew it wouldn't affect the outcome. I guessed wrong a couple of times when it came to turning west. I scored the rubble for house numbers and looped up and down streets until I found the right one. Compared to its neighbors, Stoney's house had fared the storm pretty well. It was still technically standing, yet every window was smashed in, half of the roof was gone, and trees were piled on top of a car in the driveway. A car in the driveway. I double-checked the description on the paper in my hand. A silver Honda Civic. I didn't know what a Civic was, but that was definitely a silver Honda. That must be Stoney's car. My heart beat a little faster. Was he here? I crawled over the fallen trees, grateful that there weren't any power lines tangled into them, and ran up to the house. The front porch was wobbly and shifting to the side, and I didn't care. I banged my fist against the door several times, then listened closely. When there was no reply, I hopped down and jogged around the side of the building to begin looking through the shattered windows. The layout of the house was small, and it allowed for every room to be seen from one window or another, and I found no sign of Stoney. I opened up the crumbled list of names, grabbed a blue Sharpie from my back pocket, and drew one blue dot next to Stoney's name, officially adding him to the list of missing people. My body was tired, and my heart was heavy. Yet I found myself smiling the softest, smallest little smile. Today, missing was better than dead. I love you guys, and I promise you're not alone. Things are going to get better. For those of you watching out of interest of my book, be on the lookout. I'll be sharing little excerpts every other Tuesday for the next several weeks. And today, I am sending my love out like a big old blanket. I care about you. I am sorry, and things are gonna get better. Bye, friends.